Hey guys, what's up? This is Syam, and in this video I'm going to talk about the JavaScript variables var, let, and const. So in JavaScript, variable can be created in three different ways. For these we have three different keywords: var, let, and const. So the var word is the one which has existed since the beginning of the JavaScript. The let and const are introduced in ES6. And there is a subtle difference between let and const, but there is a major difference between var and let, and we will see how they differ. So there are a few differences between these three variables, and we will go one by one on all these differences, starting from scope. So scope is a term which is used for identifying like what is the visibility of that variable from a specific section of the code. So like what section of the code can see a specific variable. If we talk about var, so var can be visible within a function. So where we start the curly brace of the function and end the curly brace of the function, the variables which is identified with var can be visible within that function. And let and const are totally different stories. Let and const can be visible only within a block. So a block can be created with the help of curly braces. So let's understand these things through code. Okay. All right. So I'm here in a browser console, and let's say we have a function test, and that contains three variables within the function. We call them as the local variables. Lvar is the var kind of variable, let is a let kind of, and similarly lconst is a const. Okay, and here I have created a block with curly braces on and curly braces off, and these three variables are block level variables, and I have created with all these three types. Okay, and let's try to run it, and we'll see like how it looks like. Okay, so as soon as I run it, I can see the output here as inside block. It is printing block var, block let, block const. Okay, so here inside block we can see the things are getting printed, but as soon as it comes out and try to print the block level variables outside of that block, we get an error that b let is not defined. Okay, so this is how we can say that these block level variables are accessible within blocks, and outside of the block they are not visible, they are completely dead. Yeah, but of course this bvar is not a block level variable, and if we just try to print bvar, okay, we can see block var, right? So we can even able to print the bvar, but all the block level elements that we say like let and const, those are not available outside of this block. Similarly, let's talk about the function level local variables. If we are trying to print outside the function, then I just commented out the block level variables, and I'm printing it. So we can see that lvar is not defined. So when we go outside of a function, so all the local variables which we are defining inside a function, they are not visible outside the function. So that's why we are calling the var kind of variables are they have the scope within the function, not outside of the function. Okay, let's go to the next difference. The next one is initialization. So for let and const, even if we don't give any initial value, it is okay, it is optional. But for const, we have to give some initial value. So as soon as we declare it, we have to provide a value right away over there. So what do I mean is, let's go to the browser console, and let's say here if I'm saying var foo, that's okay. The browser, the JavaScript itself is assigning an undefined value to it. If we say let bar, we are getting undefined still. And then if we say const and say grill, it is saying missing initializer in const declaration. So we have to give some value to it. Okay, so if we give some value like this, then it would be okay. Okay, let's go to the third difference is reassigning a value to these variables. So for var, if we have declared a variable and if you're trying to assign a new value to it, we can do it without any problem. For let also, we can give a new value to the existing variable, but for const we cannot do that. So let's say if we have assigned a value like 100, like a primitive value, then we cannot change it. But if we have assigned a complex like an object or an array, then definitely we cannot reassign a new array or new object, but we can manipulate the values of it. So we cannot assign a new value, but we can mutate it somehow. So what I mean is, let's say we have foo, bar and grill, and we have declared and also assigned some value to it, and then later if we go and say foo equals 100, there is no problem. Bar equals 200, there is no problem. But if we do grill equals to some other value, it will give you an error because we cannot assign a new value to a constant. And I also mentioned that the const are mutable. That means, let's say if I have a const grill, let's say this is an object, and I'm doing grill dot a equals to 200, something like that, then there is no problem. But if we do grill equals a new object altogether, it may be the same value, maybe the different value, doesn't matter, but assigning a new value is totally not allowed. Alright, so the next difference is redeclaring the variable, means creating a new variable with the same name and with the keyword var, let or const. So for the var, if we redeclare the variable, there is no problem, we can do that definitely, but with let and const we cannot redeclare it once it is declared. Let's see how it looks like in the code. So let's say here I'm writing var foo, okay, equals 10, then I'm saying var foo equals to 100, there is no problem. But if we write let bar equals to 20, there is no problem. Even writing let bar again with a different value, we don't see any problem, because the problem occurs when we are defining the let or const within a function or within a block. So let's say if I have a function, let's say test, and then I am saying here, okay, where a equals to 10, then sorry, okay, I just hit enter. Okay, and then I'm saying where a equals to 100, and then let's say I have let b equals to 20, and then let b equals to 200. So, and when we run it, test, okay, we see that the identifier b has already been declared. So for a we are not getting any error, even we have declared it twice, but for b it is saying that it's been already declared. So we cannot redeclare a let or const within a function or within a block, but globally we can definitely do it. Alright, the next difference is the hoisting. So hoisting is JavaScript's mechanism of moving, not physically but logically, all the variables and function declaration on the top of the scope. So for var, this hoisting happens, but for let and const there is no hoisting. And we can see more on going toward the code and see how it looks like. Alright, so let's say we have this function test, and here inside that function I have 3 console, and we have 3 different kind of variable with var, let and const. And before declaring and assigning these variables. I'm consoling them one by one, like for var, let, and const, and we'll see like what happens. Okay, so as soon as we hit this or invoke this particular function test, we see that it is saying L var is undefined. So this is the var kind of variable, and it gives a value undefined. But for the other thing, that is let, it is saying it cannot access before the initialization of it. So all those var kind of variables, they are understood by the JavaScript function even before we are assigning the value. Okay, so I will show you like how the JavaScript function will understand it a little bit. So instead of this, JavaScript will understand in this way, and we say, and because JavaScript know that what to do with a var kind of variable when there is no value assigned to it, and here it will become something like that. So as soon as we run the function, it will go to console.log and it will see that var is already present, and it gives a value undefined, and for other things it is not yet visible, so it will throw an error. So this kind of movement of that particular variable on top of the scope, that is called the hoisting, and it only happens for the var kind of variable and not for the let and const. Okay, so the last difference is the property of window. So if we create a var kind of variable in a global scope, then they will become the property of window object. However, the let and const, even if we are declaring them in the global context, they are not going to become the property of window object. So let's see here. So let's say we have these three variables, and all are declared and defined in a global context. So if we do console.log, and so in window.gvar, we will see global var, because this gvar, when declared in the global context, it will become a property of window. However, the other two constants, other two variables which is defined with let and const, if we try to console them and see are they the property of window glet, and see that they are undefined. Even the console.log for window.gconst, we'll see it is also undefined. So only those variables which are defined with var globally, they can become the property of window. The let and const cannot become property of window. So this is the another and the last difference. Alright, that's it guys. So this is the difference between the three different variables of JavaScript, var, let, and const. I hope you understand it well, and I hope these examples which I showed you will give you a better understanding. Thank you for watching this video. See you next time. Bye.